Hi, everybody. So today is Saturday. That means it's time for family movie night. And today we're continuing on our Jane Austen month. And we are looking at a very interesting entry in the world of Jane Austen. And it is the Lizzie Bennet Diaries from 2012. And this is actually a web series. So it's not your traditional movie. It's a web series that went on from 2012 until 2013, and you can still watch it on the Lizzie Bennet YouTube channel. And it's a very, like I said, interesting take on Pride and Prejudice. This series is somewhat similar to Modern Persuasion, which is the movie that I reviewed already on this channel for Jane Austen Month, where what they do in that movie is they take the world of persuasion and they put it in a business setting, a modern setting. And that's basically what they do here for Pride and Prejudice. And I think it works pretty well. I think that the structure of the business world is pretty close in some ways, enough for the story to work to be comparable to the social structures that existed in the Regency era of the of Pride and Prejudice. So in general, I think it works pretty well. Of course, you have this as part of a web series, so there are actually 100 episodes of this series, and I can only imagine what it must have been like to actually watch it every single week. And I do wish that somebody would put together a compilation so you could watch it as a movie, and so you could take out the introductions and just watch the whole thing through, because it does get a little old when you're watching through and hearing the theme music and the outro music and everything like that, like every 3 minutes, because these are pretty short videos. So I think that would be really nice if somebody did like a Lizzie Bennet Diary supercut. That would be really cool. Someone should do that. But I think that there's some really smart things that they do that make this a very fun series. First of all, I think the casting was very good, especially for a web series. The quality of the acting, the quality of the performances, the chemistry between everybody, I think was really good. And I think they did a great job with these three actresses who play the Bennet sisters, because there's only three Bennet sisters. And I do think it's very funny that they name the cat Kitty. So that was kind of a wink to the sister. And then I think it's a cousin or something like that that's Mary. But the three sisters, you've got Lizzie, you've got Jane, and you have Lydia. And they really did a good job with these three. They look like sisters, in my opinion. Especially, I think Laura Spencer and Ashley Clements look very much like sisters. If you told me that they actually were sisters, I would completely believe it. They look a lot alike, I think, and they did a great job with that. And then I think what they did with Lydia, of course, they make them all redheads, but Lydia is obviously the more dyed redhead, and she's from the very beginning wanting to get attention, and I think that works so well for a web series for Lydia's character. That makes sense why she wants to be a part of the videos, why she wants to get the attention from Lizzie. And then later on, kind of where they take her character and the way that Wickham manipulates her, I think was a very smart take on the character. I think episode 87 is their big episode where they kind of forgive each other, and they realize, or where Lydia really realizes that Lizzie actually does love her and accept her and isn't judging her. And it's a very well done moment, and I think it's such an interesting sort of modern take on Lydia's character, and sort of the way she wants attention and what that does for a modern teen, and how dangerous that can be, and the way she's manipulated by Wickham. All that I think is pretty clever, and it ends up being, she's kind of the emotional heft of this version of the story, which is interesting because she's kind of the almost a villain in the book, and she certainly somebody that causes all kinds of problems and is sort of looked at as at best, I think in the book, Lydia is looked at as sort of stupid and thoughtless, careless. And in this version of it, she is more sort of naive and innocent and lonely. Lonely, I think, is what I would say. And whereas in the book, she's just kind of stupid. There's not a ton of nuance, I don't think, to Lydia in the book. So I think it's an interesting take on the story. I also really like the way that they use the vlog as a storytelling device within the story. So they have Lizzie watching Lydia's videos and realizing what Lydia has been going through. They have Darcy watching Lizzie's videos after he tells her that he loves her, and that is very kind of effective. Like, I thought that was smart in making the vlogs a storytelling device. You have Bing watching the videos and finding out about Jane. You have all these things. They also have their mother that is sort of traditional and kind of still brings some of that satire and that voice in from the book, which I thought was smart. A lot of times when they're kind of talking about her mother, she wears like a floppy, kind of traditional hat. It's like a Southern hat, and that's sort of the old school satire of Pride and Prejudice coming in, which I think was smart. They have most of the social structures of the novel are in with business in this, like I said, just like in Modern Persuasion. And for instance, Collins, it's not a marriage proposal that he gives to Lizzie. He gives a business proposal to Lizzie, and then Charlotte accepts the business proposal, which I think is pretty interesting. And that's like a pretty good take on the story. And Collins is kind of just more like obsessed with business kind of thing. He's like a superficial business guy, but he's not like a bad guy in this. He's just like super eager, to run this business. And then she starts out as like a graduate student, and that's why she's doing these vlogs with Charlotte. And then she becomes kind of like a consultant, and she's consulting for Pemberley Digital, which of course is owned by Darcy. And that's how they kind of reconnect. And so that was, I think, pretty clever, pretty smart. I think the chemistry between Ashley Clements and Daniel Vincent Gord as Darcy is really good. And he's like sufficiently awkward for this kind of position. And I think that's kind of like the modern take on Darcy. And that's certainly what they did in the 2005 film, is that instead of being really a jerk, he's just kind of shy and awkward. And that's, I think, a pretty good way to translate Darcy for a modern version like this, because I think that you don't want him to be a misogynist. You don't want him to be, you want to keep him likable. And so making him, like he's a jerk, but it's more because of his awkwardness than because of him actually being like a hateful person. And so I think that works quite well. You have Wickham, of course, as a character. You have Bingley as a character. His name is literally Bing Lee, which I think is kind of a fun take on that. I have Caroline Lee, who's Bingley's sister. She's a character in this, and you see her in some of the vlogs, and she's catty and just like you'd expect. So all the elements of Pride and Prejudice are there. You have I really like the episode where Darcy tells Lizzie that he loves her, and he gives her then he watches all of her videos, and he gives her a letter, and it even has a wax seal, and she's like, what is this? Like, I haven't had to read cursive for since grade school. That was like a fun touch, and to keep some connection with the novel, I think works well. And then of course what she realizes, and also when she reports on the letter in her vlog, she's like, well, there's some things that's not my story to tell. And that's obviously sort of the Wickham part of it, which I thought was also like fairly real and authentic. And, so because there is a certain degree of like secondhand embarrassment in watching this, because it's like, oh my gosh, she's sharing all, even though I know it's a drama, it's not real, but like so many people at that time did share, even including myself, like share too much, and were too personal at that time. And that was part of the thing. And so like you sort of feel that when you watch it, you're like, oh no. But she does have even her limits, and they worked that into the story, which I thought was smart. And so this is, I think it's very entertaining. It's time of a kind of a time capsule of 2012 internet culture, what was going on at that time. And I think the actors are very charming, very good. They fit the role very well, and how they worked vlogging and the vlog into the narrative and the script, I think was pretty smart. I can only imagine it must have been super fun to watch it week by week by week, but it's still fun to watch as like a movie kind of experience, to watch all to binge watch all 100 mini episodes. I think is a fun thing. So let me know what you think of Lizzie Bennett Diaries. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And I guess there's a book, and so that's interesting. Let me know if you've read the book. I haven't read the book. And please check out all of my Jane Austen Month reviews. I would really appreciate it. And please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And I have the Patreon group. That's the biggest way you can support everything I'm doing. And I have pretty cool perks for everything. I have pretty cool perks every month. So you want to be part of that, like Q&As, watch alongs, other activities with stars. So take a look at that. And I have the merch store. We have all kinds of designs, including some Austen inspired designs. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.